morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elconin. Welcome to Premarket Info.
Well, it was a crazy day for Facebook yesterday, and the up move is continuing. It's continuing to fill that gap that we talked about. Apple and eBay also had good moves yesterday, too. We'll talk about all those stocks. Conagra finally gets RalCorp. For the last year, we've heard about this, and they've been trying to make plays to get them. Finally getting them this morning for $90 in cash. Dog days. Are these dogs like Hewlett-Packard, Best Buy, Research in Motion? As these things are moving up, other dogs might come into favor. We'll talk about this rotation into the dogs. Joel, let's start with Apple, because Apple is continuing to be strong here this morning. It had an awesome move yesterday, up another 15 points, and it's continuing the strength this morning.
Yeah, looking at the charts, was looking at this stock on the 570 level yesterday, and really the only identifiable high was this high that you had back on November 6th at 590.74. Didn't quite get there yesterday, but it's there today. The psychological $600 level might have a little bit resistance, but the number that we've been talking about a little bit, has been that the overall 50% retracement from that 705.7 high down to the 505.75 low, basically a 200-point move. So that would take us back up to 605. And just on a side note, the SPOOs had already recovered 50%, trading above the 1404 area.
What an unbelievable week and a half. We can go from where everybody's saying, oh, and they're questioning Apple, and is Apple, going to ever be able to come back here when it gets down to the whole 506. Everybody seems to be throwing in the towel. That day was the capitulatory bottom. Obviously, we wrote that blog speculating it might have been. It looks like that has come to fruition now, that it's almost 90 points higher from where it was that day. In 6 trading sessions, incredible comeback from Apple. But like you said, it almost feels like it might be getting, eventually getting a little overdone here. But 605, maybe that's a good number there, Joel. It takes it through the 600, triggers some stops. You're saying it's a 50% retracement. I could possibly get on board, but I'm not going to try to pick tops on it, though.
Right. No, I'm just as a reference point. I guess what we need to learn from this is that next time that 2 out of the 3 guys on Fast Money, Joe Terranova, I think Stephen Weiss, next time they say it's a generational buy, I'm taking all my money, all my kids' money, all my parents' money, and I'm putting it into that stock, and I'm going to see what happens, because that was a new term, a generational buy.
They were right.
I just want to know when there's going to be a generational sell.
I don't know. Well, we can get into the dogs in a minute, but let's go to Google first of all, because interesting enough, Google did not rally yesterday. Usually when Apple's rallying, Google's pretty strong too, but Google really the last couple of days hasn't participated, and especially yesterday. Very weird that Google did not rally at all with the Apple strength.
Yeah, Google still, since that earnings debacle a few weeks back, it's just been struggling. What the area I want our traders to be aware, focus on today and over the next 4 days is this 670 area. Because after the initial bad news came out, we did make quite a few bottoms around 669, 670, recovered a bit, and then when the market tanked, we tanked back down to this under 640 to 636. And 3 of the last 4-day highs have been around that 670 level, 667, 670, 669, 80. So that's the number. That's the number to look at for next couple days. I think if we get back above there, might have a chance to go back up and maybe sniff 700.
Good key reference point for that number, that 670 level. eBay had a heck of a day yesterday, making a new 52-week high. Stock continuing to a little bit up here this morning, up another 20 cents. But wow, nice for the shareholders of eBay. I've actually got it in my investment account. I couldn't help it. I lightened up my investment yesterday, and I bought it back in the 30s. And I was like, I'm up like 70% in this thing now, or 65%. I was like, so I sold half of my eBay investment position. But the stock's still in breakout mode, so I'm definitely not bearish this stock. Just figured it's been a pretty good move here, and I wanted to lighten up.
Yeah, well, you're getting a little boost, I guess, from Cyber Monday. I wonder what they're gonna think of for Tuesday next year. But Black Friday, Cyber Monday, people are, doing their shopping online or bargaining online. This stock has found a home here in the high 51 area. Capped the rallies in September and October. We've broken above 51. Made a high at 51.78 yesterday. Really, the next numbers in the book are quite a bit higher. You have the all-time high in this stock at 59.21. But as long as we stay above 51 here, I think we're good to go north. I think if we broke below 51, might want to lighten up as well.
Facebook had a strong day yesterday too. We talked about it when it gets above 25. It finally did, Joel, and man, did it take off. And the strength is continuing here this morning. 26.50. It's up another 55 cents in the pre-market. We talked about this gap area. If it was to get above 25, we knew there wasn't a lot of reference points. I didn't think it would do it all in one day, but it's trying to fill that gap in one day. The gap up to 26.73.
Yeah, well, you had a couple analysts hopping on the bandwagon yesterday. To fill that gap, we need to get to 26.73. Looking at the pre-market activity, we have topped out just below that level, 26.62. So let's keep an eye on that. I mean, as a reference point, I mean, it's, can't say it's actually going to be the top in it. But this stock is, it's coming down. It went from, 42. We don't even know what the official high is. I mean, the charts say 45, but they busted a
42,
bunch.
yeah.
Yeah, busted a
I think
bunch
it's
of
42.
prints. Yep, 42, I think, is where most of the people got filled on their buy orders on the first day. We went down to 1755, 25-point break yesterday. So, believe it or not, the 50% retracement of this thing would take it back up to almost the $30 level. We're on just a major 5-day run here.
Major.
So, yeah, just perhaps wait for, you got to wait for a pullback in this thing
Yeah.
unless you just want to jump on the trend.
Yeah, hard to chase stocks. Like, I mean, if you buy it here, this thing was 20 bucks a week and a half ago, so you're definitely chasing it now. Obviously, we get some pullbacks here. Maybe you can look at those for entry levels, but we're starting to really move here now. When you draw these trends like I'm going to draw here right now, these are definitely unsustainable when they're this steep. I don't know when it comes down and actually breaks this trend, but they can continue for a while too. I'm sitting on my hands now. The play yesterday was to play that gap area. It looks like that's pretty well gone, so who knows? That stock could continue to rally here. I mean, it's got all kinds of momentum, but eventually that momentum breaks too. You got the whole short-term herd participating in this thing now. Everybody's jumping on the Facebook bandwagon. Eventually, it will probably end ugly, but I don't know when that is, so I've got to sit on my hands at this point until I
Yeah,
get some more reference points.
and I certainly hope that Barron's comes out with some egg on their face this week. They've really been panning this stock after the last couple of rallies. They come out, oh, why Facebook is worth 15. I hope. I'm not sure who wrote those
Yeah,
articles
I
or
remember
not,
that.
but let's see if they can turn around and admit when they're wrong. Which we stress in our show. Take a loss.
Yeah, talking about let's move it on to some the dogs that have been dogs but are now actually coming back into favor. Obviously, we talked about Research in Motion yesterday. That stock is up 50% here in the last month. But let's go and look even at Hewlett Packard. We had the big gap down day there after the whole autonomy debacle. Well, the last 4 trading sessions, it's basically filled that gap. We've come right back up, and we've been strong on Hewlett Packard. What a rally for it even yesterday, continuing higher. So basically, since we made that low after autonomy in the 1135 area, we're up like 10% from there.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that was kind of overlooked in the, with the whole accounting debacle was autonomy was, and I did hear this mentioned a couple different times, that actually the earnings for the quarter were not that
They
bad.
weren't.
Yeah,
No.
so you take out, can't exactly ignore a several billion dollar. I don't see how you can lose 8 billion on a $5 billion investment, but at least
Well,
at least Hewlett Packard seemed to do it. So I guess some people that had not gotten dirty in the stock, took a look at the multi-year lows and decided to get dirty a little bit. We're coming back. We're gonna about to fill the gap. well, we did fill the gap. We had up to 1294. We did fill the gap, or will fill it today. Stock's looking okay. Next major resistance comes in at the 1340 level.
Somebody was asking me on stock twits if this stock can see 13 today. I was saying I definitely think it can if it gets some
Oh yeah,
momentum
you're
going.
really stepping out there, Dennis. Wow, 20. I think it might. I might think it might see 1301.
1301. Joel's going to go long in 1301. But, obviously these stocks have a lot of momentum. Best Buy is another one. It was up 6% yesterday. Obviously, we've had the capitulation sell off those 3-4 days just last week. And now all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, well, wait a minute. Maybe we're selling this off a little bit too much. And the stock is turning. And it's up here again today, up another 10 cents. So Best Buy is another one. The dogs are barking.
Yeah, I like what you said that when one dog starts barking in the neighborhood, the other starts barking, and that's certainly the case here. Best Buy does have a gap to fill between 1286 and 1370, so you should get a little whoosh into that area. The stuff is, it's all related. Looking for a big Christmas season, huh? I guess they're going to be at eBay and Best Buy and buying all their products. So, definitely getting a boost from anticipation of a good Christmas.
Yeah, and don't be surprised. Like I wrote that blog there last night on the site, on the Premarket info site, saying the dogs are barking. Don't be surprised at some of these other companies that have really been dogs. You got companies like Radio Shack that are sitting right at basically, their decade lows there, $1.90. It's bid up. It's just traded $1.99 here in the pre-market. Another company like Alcoa has been a real dog too. Don't be surprised if some action, like I said, when a couple dogs start barking, everybody goes bottom picking basically and looking, oh, what else is cheap out there? And they start looking at companies like this. And there's like this whole rotation into the dogs right now. So one dog starts barking, they all start barking. So look at companies like a Radio Shack. And these are not investments. I'm going to just stress this right now. I think these companies all go lower eventually. But short term, some of these companies, if you're short these things, I would be nervous right now. And they may be short term trades here. Obviously they start making new 52-week lows. I wouldn't want to own them. But if you've got some reference points on some of these, you could try to do a little short-term trade on something like a Radio Shack.
Yeah, I mean it needs to bust above $2. I mean it hasn't traded over $2 since the 19th. Decent volume yesterday, so well whatever. If you're buying it at $2, use a 189 stop. You had 4 lows between 190 and 192. I mean Alcoa, the biggest dog of them all. That looks a little bit more interesting here. You've had 5 consecutive highs between 831 and 835, trading 833 in the pre-market. Who knows? It might go all the way to 840.
You never know. It could go to 852 there, Joe.
Yeah, 852. Right? It's definitely a number.
That's a 2% move.
You can find it in those things, man. You can find a number just about everywhere, but the 856 to 860 level looks like the next resistance point.
AMD is another one that's just hanging out down here at the lows. Has been a huge dog, obviously 52-week low. $1.81, is that the 52-week low? I think it is. So you're 7 cents off the low, so you have a reference point. It starts going down to $1.80, $1.79. I'd probably get the hell out. But if you like trading these stupid little dogs here hoping to pick a bottom, you have some reference points here short term. Don't get married to the positions, but short term, it wouldn't surprise me if some of these things started to find a bit of life. And I'm saying a bit of life because I don't think it lasts. Another one too, Zynga, I was just talking about. Zynga actually has been coming to life a little bit with the Facebook. Again, though, it's another one. 209, 208 was the low there. So it's up about 30 cents. There's a little more risk in one like this. But the stock starts breaking out over 250. I mean, it could get a 10, 15 cent, 20 cent pop. So
yeah. Yep. Yeah, you've had 3 lows between 242 and 245, bumping up against that in the pre-market. So there is a little bit of real estate there. Has a gap to fill from its last earnings faux pas here up to 275.
Let's move on from the dogs into a merger. This merger was talked about all last year. Conagra Foods is finally getting RALCorp, RAH, for $90 a share. Last year, if I go out to the weeklies, this was rumored again and again and again. Here it started back in April of 2011 when Conagra was trying to buy RALCorp, and they weren't buying, and they didn't want to be bought. And then the stock sold all the way back off in August of 2011, back to the 70 era. Rumors started again. The stock drifted all the way back up to 90, and then they snuffed the rumors RALCorp and said, "Look, we're not being bought." Stock back down to 75. That was a gap down day in early 2012. Stock got all the way down to $60 back, or under $60, $59.44 in July. Somebody got a great buy there because you know what? End of the day here, RALCorp is bought at $90.
Yeah, looking at the ConAgra, it's getting a significant boost on this in the pre-market trade, up $1.64, 29.93. That is, well, yeah, that. Whew, they must really think this merger is going to do something for the company, perhaps be accretive to earnings right away. All-time high, ConAgra 30.24. That's the reference level. Looking at the pre-market activity, we've gotten as right here at the high, 29.93. You got to imagine some sellers are going to be stepping in between 29.93 and the all-time high of 30.24.
Yeah, looks like Conagra shareholders are pretty happy they finally did get that RALCorp. Few special dividends last night. We haven't really talked too much about the special dividends, but obviously with the tax implication or possible tax hikes here happening on dividends, some companies that have excessive cash are trying to get that cash to their shareholders before it might get taxed at a higher rate. And Dillard's is one of them. They're doing a $5 special dividend. Stock is trading up about $3 on that news from last night. 88.87 is where it got to last night after closing at 85.84.
Yeah, I mean, you already have to own the stock, right? If you go out and buy it today, you're not going to get the special dividend, correct?
No. It'll be going forward. So
it'll be
there'll be an
okay.
ex-dividend date that's set. So yeah, no, there'll be an ex-dividend that they still work. They'll set the ex-dividend date, which I don't think they have yet. But that's why you're seeing $3 pop here because somebody's, I'm going to get $5. So, and they're basically, saying, I want to own the stocks. I want to get that $5 dividend. But I mean, that cash comes from the company. So I always find it interesting that these things pop up sometimes almost as much as the dividend, which it's just they're just taking the cash from the company and giving it to you. It's not like they have an extra $5 all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, some people think that.
I know they do.
Have you ever been in a Dillard's?
You know what? My parents shop at it down in Florida, but they say there's never anybody shopping in those stores. So they're supposed to be huge stores, though. So, but the stock itself just continues to climb.
Right. Yeah, it's all-time high here in Dillard's. We've ticked 88.89. The former all-time high, 86.80. I don't know. Not a ton of volume associated with this. Be a little bit careful buying this open if you don't care about the $5 dividend. It could be an exit point for you.
Las Vegas Sands is another one. They announced last night a $2.75 special dividend, and the stock's up almost $2 here, $45.95 after closing at $44.03. So it looks like Las Vegas Sands shareholders are liking their special dividend as well.
Yeah, like I kind of would echo my same sentiments that I have here on the Dillards. You did hit a pre-market high at 46.37. Looking at the charts, you had a high at 46.90 back in November, but I don't know. I'd be a little skeptical of buying these things up this high today, just on that dividend news.
Overall market thoughts here. We are flat, Joel. We are flat right now. We've been up to 1407.75 overnight, as low as 1401. We are up a quarter of a point right now, 1403.50. So what's your take here? This 1400 level, we're starting to get a close above here. Think we can continue to march higher?
It's deja vu all over again here, consolidating around the $1,400 level. Friday's high 1407.50. The current Globex high 1407.75. That is your resistance point. Use it as resistance. If we break above there, Dennis, looking at the dailies, there's just not a whole heck of a lot in there. But once again, you got to get above that level. Coming back on the downside here, minor support, Globex low 1401. You really don't have a tradable level back down there again until 1395, but boy, it just seems that the sentiment's really turned, and people are buying this market on pullbacks.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of strength here. It's funny how sentiment can turn so quickly there. Everything looks horrible 2 weeks ago, and now everything starts to look a heck of a lot better. Sentiment drives stocks. That's our show for today, folks. We're actually going to be taking a couple days off here from the shows, but we will be updating the numbers here for you on the site. So the numbers will still be updated, but we won't have a show here for you for the next couple of days. But come to the site and you'll still get the numbers. Anyways, that's our show for today. Have a great trading day. Talk to you guys later.